So I want you to close your eyes for a second and just picture a mantelpiece.
Okay.
Maybe it's at your parents' house or, maybe your grandmother's. There is almost always that one specific photo sitting right there. You know the exact one I'm talking about.
Oh, for sure. The graduation headshot.
Exactly. The subject is usually 18 years old,
Mm-hmm.
looking slightly awkward, but very proud. Wearing that shiny polyester gown and a mortarboard cap that literally never sits right on anyone's head.
It never does, but it's iconic, right? It really is.
It is. I mean, it's way more than just a picture. It's a trophy. It is the visual proof that you survived 12 years of homework and exams and terrible cafeteria food. It's the finish line frozen in time.
Absolutely. It signals a huge transition. It's that exact moment you stop being a student and, well, start being an adult. And for families especially, that 8x10 print is just a massive deal. It's basically the return on investment for all those years of support.
Right. So keeping that specific image in mind, the pride, the tradition, I want to take you to the Antigua Girls High School. It's graduation season. The air is probably thick with humidity and hairspray. Students are lined up. They're ready for that exact moment. They're ready to take the photo that will sit on the mantelpiece for the next 50 years. But instead of a camera flash,
They get a security check.
they get a security check.
And this is really where the story takes a hard left turn. We aren't talking about a smooth, joyous process here. We are doing a deep dive today into an incident where that celebration just came to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
We're looking at a situation based on a recent news report where not one, not two, but over 40 students were abruptly pulled out of line.
40. That is a staggering number.
It is over 40 students. They were pulled from the line for their graduation headshots and told in no uncertain terms that they would not be photographed.
Wow.
And the stakes were raised immediately because this wasn't just, a come back tomorrow and try again kind of thing.
Right.
The implication was that if you don't get this photo taken right now, today, you do not walk in the graduation ceremony.
That is a massive escalation. So you miss the photo, you completely miss the milestone.
Correct. You are effectively uninvited from your own achievement.
So today, we're going to unpack this whole event. We've got this news report detailing the specific accounts of a parent, Evangeline Joseph, who goes by Vanjie, and we also have the school's stated position on the matter.
Yes, it's important to look at both sides.
Exactly. We need to figure out how a dispute over hairstyles, specifically hair extensions, spiraled into a potential mass exclusion, and one that involves financial threats and some really deep historical grievances, too.
It's a fascinating and frankly quite tense case study. It really shows how institutions enforce rules versus how families actually experience those rules on the ground.
Right.
It touches on communication breakdowns, financial leverage, and what actually happens when zero-tolerance policies meet real life.
Let's start with the scale of this thing, because I honestly can't get past that number.
Yeah.
Over 40 students. Like, if you tell me one student got pulled out of line for a dress code violation, I say, okay, sure, that's a disciplinary issue. Maybe that kid pushed the boundaries. But 40 students, that feels like a total systemic breakdown.
It certainly suggests a massive disconnect. When you have a mass disqualification on that scale, it forces you to ask a few questions. Was the rule unclear? Was it suddenly enforced differently than it had been all year?
Right. Or was there some sort of mass rebellion where the students just collectively decided to ignore it?
Exactly. And in this particular case, the trigger was very specific. It was hair extensions.
That was the sole culprit.
Yeah.
The specific rule cited was no extensions. The school officials basically went down the line and flagged anyone whose hairstyle incorporated artificial hair.
Now, play devil's advocate for a second here. Why would a school care if a student has extensions in a graduation photo? What is the logic?
Usually, the argument from the administration is uniformity. Schools, particularly those with very strict uniform codes, want the graduation composite, the yearbook, to look completely standardized. They want a natural look. They don't want the fashion of the moment or trendy hairstyles to distract from the overall uniformity of the graduating class.
Okay, so they want a clean, uniform look. I get the logic on paper, I really do. But 40 students showing up with them, that suggests that for the students themselves, extensions are just a totally normal part of everyday grooming.
Exactly. For many of these students, extensions are simply a protective style. They are neat, they are highly presentable, so you have this huge clash of definitions. The school sees a violation, but the students just see themselves as being groomed and ready for a formal event.
And the consequence wasn't just a simple reprimand or a demerit.
No. And this is where the pressure cooker really starts to whistle. The school's stance, at least as it was communicated to the students right there in that moment, was that the photo is the gateway to the ceremony.
No photo, no stage.
No stage, no diploma walk.
That feels incredibly heavy-handed. It connects a purely administrative requirement, the photo, directly to the ceremonial reward. It's a huge leverage point.
It really is. And for over 40 students to be facing that cliff edge, all at the exact same time, imagine the panic in that hallway. You're standing there, your friends are crying, teachers are yelling, and you're suddenly realizing you might have to go home and tell your grandmother the graduation is off.
It's awful. And I want to zoom in on one specific case study from the report because I think it highlights just how messy this enforcement got on the ground. We have the detailed account of Vanjie Joseph. Her daughter was one of the students pulled out of that line.
Right. And her experience really puts a bright spotlight on the difference between, following the rule and just being punished for the rule.
So paint the picture for us. Vanjie's daughter shows up. She's ready for her close-up. What was her hairstyle that day?
According to her mother's account in the report, she was wearing a small bun. It was neat. It was pulled back. But that bun did incorporate extensions.
Okay, so she's in line. The officials spot the extensions. They flag her and say, "You're out." Now, here is where it gets really interesting and honestly kind of heartbreaking. What did the daughter actually do in response?
She tried to comply immediately.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't a case of a teenager crossing her arms and saying, "This is my style, deal with it."
Right.
In the moment, right there in the hallway or wherever they were lined up, she removed the bun entirely.
She just took it out?
She took out the extensions. She completely removed the artificial hair. She put her own natural hair up just to satisfy the officials.
So she fixed it on the spot.
She fixed it right then and there.
Yeah.
She made herself totally compliant with the letter of the law.
And what happened?
She was still denied the photo.
That is just, okay, let's pause there for a second. That is the part that I really struggle to wrap my head around. If the rule is strictly no extensions and the student removes the extensions, isn't the problem solved?
You would think so.
The goal of the administration is a photo without extensions. She is literally offering them a photo without extensions.
This is the critical point for analysis here. It raises a massive question about the spirit of the rule versus the rigid, almost robotic enforcement of it. If the goal is truly just to have a uniform appearance in the photo, natural hair only, then the student achieved that goal by taking the extensions out.
Right. She complied.
But by still denying her the photo after she complied, the enforcement completely shifts. It goes from being corrective, like, "Hey, fix this so we can proceed," to being purely punitive. It suggests that the crime, so to speak, was simply showing up with them in the first place.
It feels like a zero-tolerance trap. You cross the line and now you're out, even if you step back over the line immediately to fix it.
Exactly. It sends a harsh message that redemption just isn't an option. And that's where parents like Vanjie Joseph get incredibly frustrated. It feels arbitrary. It feels like the objective isn't actually the photo anymore. The objective is just to assert authority over the students.
And speaking of feeling arbitrary, Vanjie brought up another point in her account that suggests this wasn't just about a strict adherence to natural beauty. She mentioned a pretty glaring double standard regarding makeup.
Yes, this is a major point of contention in her story. Vanjie claims that while her daughter was being barred for a small bun with extensions, she personally observed other students in the exact same line wearing makeup.
Which presumably is also against the rules.
We have to assume so, given the whole context of maintaining a natural appearance. And we should state the school's position clearly here for balance. The school claims that they informed everyone ahead of time. No makeup, no extensions. That was the stated policy.
So the school is saying, "We told you, no makeup, no extensions, period. End of story."
Precisely. They are resting their entire defense on prior communication. In their view, everyone knew the rules well before they stepped onto campus that day.
But Vanjie is standing there in the hallway saying, "I see eyeliner, I see foundation. Why is that girl getting her photo taken, but my daughter, who just took her extensions out, is being sent home?"
That is the classic gap between policy on paper and policy on the ground. It's very possible the school did officially ban makeup. But if a parent stands there and sees a student with makeup getting flashed by the photographer while her daughter is weeping over a hair bun, that immediately creates a perception of bias.
It destroys trust instantly. It makes the rules feel completely fluid for some and concrete for others.
And we have to be honest about the underlying sociology here too. Hair is often policed much more aggressively in school settings than makeup is.
Oh, absolutely.
Extensions, specifically, are very often targeted. So when a parent sees makeup sliding by but hair getting hammered by the administration, they don't just see a rule being enforced, they see targeting.
It definitely raises the temperature in the room. If I a parent, I'm mad my kid is crying, but I'm absolutely furious if I think you're playing favorites with the rules.
Exactly. And let's look at how that fury escalates, because we're not just talking about emotions here, it's financial too.
That's the other shoe dropping. Vanjie mentioned the graduation fees.
Right. Because graduation is a whole industry now. It's not cheap.
Parents pay for the ceremony, the gown rentals, the tickets, the whole package.
Correct. Parents have already begun paying these graduation fees to the school. And according to the report, really adding to the tension is the fact that parents are being told their money will not be refunded if their children are barred from the ceremony.
Ouch. So the message is, we are kicking your child out of graduation, and we are keeping your money.
Yeah. That completely turns a disciplinary issue into a consumer issue. It adds a very real layer of financial injury to the emotional insult.
Why do you think a school adopts a strict no refund policy in a volatile situation like this? Is it just pure bureaucracy?
From an administrative standpoint, they've likely already allocated all those funds. They've booked venues, printed the programs, rented the chairs. The money is spent. They can't easily claw it back from the vendors.
Sure, the accountant says the money is spent. But from a parent's perspective, that feels like theft. You're paying for a service, the ceremony experience, that the school is then unilaterally withholding from you.
It forces the parents into a corner where they feel they have to fight, not just for their child's dignity, but for their own hard-earned financial investment. It makes the conflict existential for the family budget.
If I'm Banji, I'm thinking, you won't take my daughter's picture, you won't let her walk, and you're keeping my check.
It creates a scenario where there's just no off-ramp. The school has dug in their heels, and the parents feel they have no choice but to escalate the situation.
Now, here's where it gets really deep. Because when I was reading this report, initially I thought, okay, this is just a really bad day at school. But for Vanjie Joseph, this seems like it's about way more than just one day or one hairstyle.
It is. And this is crucial for understanding the sheer intensity of the reaction here. We have to look at the broader context. This incident appears to be the dipping point of a much longer, ongoing struggle between this specific parent and the school system.
Vanjie talks about years of mistreatment in the report.
She alleges that this mistreatment goes all the way back to the primary school level. She's carrying a heavy history of grievances. This isn't a new fight for her. It's just the latest round in a very old fight.
And there's a very specific, very traumatic set of allegations she brings up regarding safety. This isn't just about dress codes anymore. This is about physical harm.
Yes. She details a claim regarding 3 separate accidents on a school bus involving her daughter.
3.
3 separate accidents over the years.
That is just a lot for one family to deal with.
It is. And she says these incidents actually left her daughter with a severe back injury.
So we're talking about real physical trauma.
Yes. And crucially, she says that the matters regarding the insurers and the relevant authorities still remain unresolved today.
So let's connect the dots here for the listener.
Yeah.
You have a mother who firmly feels the system has already failed to keep her child physically safe, not just once, but 3 times. There's a documented injury. There's no resolution with the insurance companies. She's likely already fighting medical bills, fighting endless paperwork.
Correct. She is already operating at a massive deficit of trust with this entire institution.
And then, on the day of graduation, the day that's supposed to be the happy ending, the day you finally get to breathe and get out, the school stopped her daughter over a hair bun.
It's the classic straw that broke the camel's back. If you view the hair incident in total isolation, sure, it's a dress code dispute. But if you view it through Vanjie's eyes, it's a continuation of a toxic pattern. It's just another instance of the institution not caring about her child's well-being.
It completely explains the intensity. It explains why she's speaking out to the press so forcefully. It's not just about the extensions. It's about the bus, the injury, the insurance, the lack of refunds. It's everything all at once.
Exactly. Unresolved historical grievances always amplify the reaction to current events. When the trust is already completely gone, there is absolutely no benefit of the doubt given to the administration. School says, it's just a rule about hair. The parent hears, we are targeting your child yet again.
It really is a perfect storm. You have a mass exclusion event involving over 40 families, which points to a huge breakdown in communication. You have a strict no refund threat, which suddenly brings real money into it. You have inconsistency with makeup versus hair. And then, lurking right underneath all of that, you have these deep, unresolved traumas regarding student safety.
It's a highly complex ecosystem of conflict. And we have to remember, Regarding the outcome, the report explicitly says, we will continue to follow this story.
So this isn't over.
We don't know the final resolution yet. We don't know if those 40 students eventually got their photos taken. We don't know if Vanjie's daughter will actually get to walk across that stage.
It's a total standoff, and honestly, it leaves you with a really uneasy feeling about the whole system.
It really should. It makes you think deeply about the actual purpose of these policies. I mean, we all agree schools need rules. You can't have chaos. You can't have everyone just doing whatever they want all the time.
Absolutely not. Uniformity and discipline are necessary parts of the educational structure. Learning to adhere to a code is an important life skill.
But at what cost? That's the real question.
That is the question.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought to really chew on. We talked about Vanjie's daughter taking out her extensions. She fixed the problem. She did what was asked of her physically in that exact moment.
And was still denied her moment.
Right. So the question for you is this. At what point does the rigid enforcement of a uniform policy actually undermine the institution's primary goal? The goal of a school is to educate and then celebrate student achievement. These kids did the hard work. They passed the classes. They earned the diploma.
They did everything they were supposed to do academically for years.
If a student corrects a violation on the spot, literally takes down her hair, humbles herself in front of her peers and teachers, and is still punished with exclusion, do we have to ask ourselves, is the goal actually discipline? Or has the goal simply become exclusion?
It's a very fine line between maintaining high standards and losing sight of the actual human being standing right in front of you. When the rule becomes more important than the student, something has fundamentally broken down.
It's definitely something to think about next time you see a perfect graduation photo sitting on a mantelpiece. It might look flawless, but you really never know what it took to get it there.
Or, sadly, who is missing from the photo album entirely.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.